Hello and welcome to our Photoshop's Elements workshop. Today we're going to teach you how to do a novelty photo called Into the Frame. Many of you have probably taken photos that look something like this. There's my grandson Jeffrey in the middle, about to kick a soccer ball. It's a nice shot, but you really can't see too much detail, and it's not a very exciting photo. I did some Photoshop work on it and turned it into a photo that looks like this. When I sent it to him, there was a big smile on his face. His mom posted it on Facebook, and we got lots of comments. We're going to show you how to create the second photo from the first one, following a series of very simple instructions. For this example, I am using Photoshop Elements 2018. However, everything that we're doing can be done with Photoshop Elements 14 and newer. I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope you try this on some of your own photos. We're going to begin our editing session by opening up the photo. So I'll take my mouse, I'm going to take it to where it says File, Open, and I'm going to look for the file that I want to edit, and there it is right there. I'll double click on it in this case to open it up very quickly. The next thing we need to do is to crop the portion of the photo that we want for our final image. We don't want all of this. So I'm going to take my crop tool, which is located on the left hand side. I'm going to crop, making sure I got everything in there that should be in the photo. We can make some adjustments. Let's see, we've got the opposing player, another player back here. Got Jeffrey, got his leg. It looks pretty good, so we'll hit the green check mark to commit our edit. It's kind of small, so I can do Control plus to make it larger, or I can use my zoom tool, which is up in the left hand corner, and use the slider. Anything you want to use, you can use. And there we go. I think the photo is in pretty good shape. We don't need to really clean anything up, but if we wanted to clone something out, we could do that. We'll just leave it the way it is, and we'll go on to our next step. Our next step is to create the background that the photo will be hanging on. We're going to put a frame on the photo, so it would be nice if it looked like it was hanging on a wall. What we will do is to duplicate the background layer or the first layer, and we'll use the shortcut Control J. There's Control J. I now have a second layer that looks just like the first one. I'm going to go back and activate the background layer. Since layer 1 is now activated, I just go to background and click on it. When I click on it, it becomes activated. You can tell that by the blue band. Now we're going to go over this layer and create the wallpaper. Before I do that, I'm going to hide layer number 1. The reason I'm doing that is when we create our wallpaper, we want to make sure we have the right one, and layer 1 will block that out. So I'm just going to hide it temporarily. To create the wallpaper, I'm going to use my paint bucket on the left hand side. I click on it, and I'm going to paint. What we'll paint is either solid colors or this little scratchy thing here. It looks like a texture. It's called a pattern. We're going to use a pattern in this case. Photoshop Elements gives you several pre-stored patterns. We can click on this little arrow here to find one we like. These are all artistic surfaces, not interesting. I'm going to click on the down arrow, and I'm going to move down to where it says color paper. I'll click on that, and I think I will use this one right here as my background pattern. It kind of looks like a wall, little stippled finish. So I'll click on it. Notice how it appears in the box down here. Now I take my paint bucket, and I'm just going to click in it. Now that's the background for our photo. Once I've done this, I now go back up and I can unhide layer number 1. So layer 1 is over the wallpaper. We're ready for our next phase, which is creating the final photo. Now we're ready to create the final photo. The first thing we'll do is activate layer 1 by clicking on it. Once I click on it, you see it turns blue. That says this is the layer where edits will take place on. We're going to select the part of the subject, in this case his leg, that we want to be out of the photo or out of the frame itself. We can use any tools to go over and make that selection. So I'll start off with the quick select tool. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just go over it. I think I want to go about halfway up his shorts. Notice how the quick select tool shows more, looking at the marching ants. I can hold my alternate key down and kind of deselect a portion of it. So I've got just about what I want right there. Looks pretty good. What I want to do though is I want to make sure I captured everything that I want. So I'm going to zoom this up real big. In this case I used my Control plus key, with some of my sliders. And you can see I really didn't get everything exactly. So I will take and make my brush a little bit smaller. I'm going to go in here with my alternate key pressed. Notice how the little plus sign in the circle changes now to a minus sign. I'm going to take out that. I let go of it. I put some more in over here. So I captured a little too much. You can look up the leg. I didn't quite capture all of his skin, so I'm going to add some more. Again, I will push the alternate key to subtract. Just kind of going back and forth. What I'm trying to do is to get Photoshop to get as close as I can to the outline that I want to capture. And I think we've done a pretty good job. I need to add a little bit more down in this area right here. Maybe capture his sock. And you can use any tool you want to do that. So looking at our selection, it looks like we've done a pretty good job. We're going to take our frame and probably move it right through here. So I think we've captured everything that we need to cross that frame boundary. So now what we want to do is we want to copy this and put it on a new layer. There's several ways to do that. One way is edit, copy, and then go edit, paste. When you paste something, it appears on a brand new layer. We also could have simply hit Control J, because Control J will also copy the current layer, but only what's selected, and put it on a new layer. So different ways to do that. Now we're going to go down to layer number 1. I'm going to activate layer number 1 by clicking on it. Now we're going to take the photo and create the frame. So I want to unzoom the photo. So I'll go here to my zoom tool in the upper left hand corner. I'll take the slider back a little bit. So now I've got the photo back inside of my work area, the whole thing I can see. We'll start working on it. What we're going to do is we're going to take the rectangular marquee tool and select the portion of the photo that we want inside the frame. Our rectangular marquee tool is up in this corner here. I'm kind of flashing it. And I'll take that and I'm going to grab as much as I can. Now, my right hand side, I want to align so it's right on the point where his leg will overlap. And let's take it right here. If I need to make an adjustment, I can do a select, transform selection, and I can make any adjustments to it that I might want to make. In this case, I think I want to include the opposing player, and probably most of him, so I'll just leave a little bit of grass off to the side. Notice that I have not committed my change at this point by checking the green check mark. I'm going to come down in the options area and I'm going to select skew by clicking on the word skew. It's right down in this corner. I want to grab the upper handle and move it down just a little bit. It's right here. I'm going to grab the lower handle right here, move it up just a little bit so we can add some perspective to our frame. If I'm happy with that, now I hit the green check mark. Notice the marching ants give us that frame. We're going to go up to the very top where it says select. Up here, I'm going to select. I'm going to do inverse. What inverse will do is select everything outside of the selected area. Notice now our marching ants include the outside frame and the inside here. Once I've done that, I'm going to press my delete key on my keyboard. And when I do that, it leaves the wallpaper on the outside plus the part of the photo that is outside the frame. So now we're ready to create the frame that will frame our selection. If you notice, we still have the outer boundaries selected. What we will do is go to the top where it says select, choose inverse. When I do that, now we're selecting this intersection again. We're going to create a new layer. And to do this time we'll just use our shortcut Control J. That creates layer number 3, as you can see up here. It's above layer 1. And we'll draw our picture frame on this. So to create the frame, we go to Edit. Right down here, there's a selection that says Stroke Outline Selection. So we'll select that. We're going to use a width of 15 pixels. I don't like a green color on this, so I want to go get a browner color. I will take my cursor and I will move it, click on the color box here. I'm going to try to find a color that's in the brownish range, so I'll just kind of use my color selector to bring up a palette of browns. Then I can make a fine selection by just moving a little circle there. And I say OK. We want to make sure that we're on the outside of the selection. Choose 100% opacity, and preserve transparency is unchecked. Now we say OK. And there is our frame. I'm going to deselect the frame by hitting Control D in case it's not already done. I'm still on layer number 3. We're going to add a little shadow to give this thing a little more realism. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to Layer, Layer Styles, right here, and we're going to go to Style Settings. And we're going to choose Drop Shadow. Now let's see what that does. We need to choose some angles. So let's choose an angle by just dragging this thing right here of about 135 degrees. The rest of these are really trial and error. We'll choose a size of, for our shadow, of about 5 pixels. Our distance from the frame. Take a look at the frame itself as I'm moving this. You can change that quite a bit. Gives it some depth. We'll just move this to about 15. And the opacity, we're going to move up to 75%. You see, as I move the opacity, I can make it black or gray. We'll choose about 75%. This is totally up to you. And we'll say OK. Now I want to go to layer number 2 where his leg is. So we're going to click on layer 2. And we'll do the same thing. I go to Layer, I go to Layer Style, and Style Settings. We want the same angle. That really is the angle that the sun will be hitting at. So the sun in this case appears to be coming from the upper left-hand corner. We click Drop Shadow, and we'll choose a couple of options. Again, we'll play with these. I'm going to choose 5. I'm going to move it about 15 pixels away. You can see I can move the shadow far away. You want to kind of keep it consistent with what the frame looks like. So this is just a visual check on yourself. And I'll play with the opacity. If I go to 100%, it gets very dark. I'm going to come down here to about 50%. Gives you a shadow. It's a little lighter than the frame itself because his leg is further away. And we say, okay. And there you have it. We started out with a photo of a large soccer field and some very, very tiny little players in the middle, one of which happened to be my grandson. We worked on it, we blew it up, we cropped it, we put a frame around it, and we actually did some magic with the frame so it looks like he's running into it to get that ball. We accomplished our Photoshop magic with just a few simple commands. We followed step by step, preparing the photo, creating that background, and you can use anything for a background that you want. We kind of cropped out the final photo, putting into it what we wanted and identifying that portion that should be outside the frame coming in. We created a border on the frame. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you have snapshots yourself of your grandchildren, your children, and you surprise them with photos like I surprised my grandson. Thank you for watching.